It's been a while since I've done a proper smart home tour. Today, I'm not going to walk you around my house, but I will show you my dashboard. And my dashboard contains pretty much everything that I use in my smart home. So today, we're taking a virtual tour of my smart home, looking through one of my most used dashboards. So let's get started. Now, this isn't going to be a how do I build a dashboard video. This is going to be taking you through my dashboard, my smart home stuff, and a little bit of the products that I use in my smart home. So if you're looking for how to build a dashboard, I've done that before, and I probably will be doing that again soon because I think it's time for a refresh of the dashboard. So let's just jump right into it. So this is my daily driver dashboard. I use this on a regular basis. It sits on my desk here in my home office, and it keeps me aware of what's going on around the house, including something like this, which is a frigate card. And it's running bird's eye in a streaming mode so that I can see any activity that occurs. You'll probably see it pop up here now and then whenever I'm doing something here. So let me just take you through section by section of the dashboard. I know it's really busy, and I've had a lot of comments about, well, why do you have so much stuff on here? Why don't you do certain things, such as conditional cards? Well, I did that up here. One of the things I don't like about conditional cards is that it leaves a line here. I would prefer that the section here disappear completely when the conditional card is not there. So if I edit the dashboard here, I'm just going to show you this quick conditional card because it doesn't show up when it's actually running. It shows up when you're editing it. So I have things like my garage door opener, my front door locks, or front, back, and garage door, and my front and back door locks. These are all in a line. They only show up if they're open or unlocked, so I don't see them all the time. So that's what's on this top line right here, and these should probably go away. Yeah, they go away now, and you can see here's the frigate card. I mentioned my garage door controller, and what I'm using for that is this right here. It's a Go Control GD00Z-8, and this is what I've been using in my old house, and then of course when I moved to the new house, I bought this as well. I've got a Genie garage door opener, but it's cloud-based, and I was having some issues with the cloud stuff for them, so I just went ahead and went local. This is a Z-Wave device. It's made for dry contact door opening, so if you can just push a button on your door and it's not encoded or anything, then you can use something like this. So that's my garage door opener. I'm not going to show you every product I have because I don't have links to everything, but that's the garage door opener. And let's just go back into edit mode real quick here. I also don't want to make this video like 20, 30 minutes long, which is usually what I do. That's the garage door opener. These three sensors here are Aquara garage or door window sensors, and those I got off of Amazon as well. These are Zigbee, and they last forever. I use them directly in my Zigbee Z-Wave or Zigbee to MQTT setup. I don't use the Aquara hub, although you can. There is an integration for the Aquara hub as well. And Aquara has a lot of products. I have this product here too, which is their motion sensor. I use that in some of the areas. What else do I have here? I have a lot of these humidity and temperature sensors as well. So I use a lot of Aquara products, and they're all Z-Wave. They're all Zigbee, and they work really well, and they have a long battery life. The front door lock, back are Schlage locks. They're Schlage 910s, I believe. They've been around I've had them for 6 years. I moved them from the old house to this house as well. So like I said, I don't want to make the video super long. We'll go fast here. The driveway, these are all light switches. So I have a driveway light switch, porch. We'll come back to that one in a minute. That's the backyard. The kitchen, the game room, the entry, the hall, all of those are just GE paddle switches. And it's these little switches, you mount them in the wall or install them in the wall. They're for 120 volt. That just means don't put a 120 volt wire there. That's if you're going to put them together. I have 3-way and 4-way switches in my house, so I have to have these certain type of switches. But essentially they're Z-Wave switches, they're paddle switches that go in the wall. And I control most of my external lighting with those. The one switch I didn't talk about is this porch light switch. It's because it's a scene controller. This one's kind of cool because I use this button right here for this switch for the light. And then I use these down here to control various things and also indicate status. So I can tell you if the garage door is open, if any of the door locks are unlocked. And I can shut the garage door. I can lock the door locks by pushing these buttons a few times based on how I have my scene set up. And then I've got some other stuff that I do with this, the other two buttons. So it's a scene controller and also a light switch control. So I control that light from this switch and then do other stuff here. And where it is located in the house makes it ideal to be able to get a quick glance of some of the stuff in the house. Prevents me from having to put a full tablet or something in that spot because I don't need it there. All right, so let's go back over and see what else we have here. This is a group, and this is still those paddle switches. I just have them grouped because I have two light switches for the kitchen. This is also a light, and this is also a switch or a plug, a smart plug that I use that controls one of the, in the garage, I have a light that hangs from the ceiling, one of those long workshop lights. And so it turns on the actual garage light that's built into the house with the paddle switch, and it also turns on that plug. So all my lights come on in the garage. Those are all motion activated and also can be controlled from this switch. Then I have a bunch of lamp switches here, or smart plugs. They're essentially just little smart plugs that you plug into the lamp and control them via Z-Wave. Some of them I do also for holiday stuff for the outside. So those switches are something that look like this. I have a number of different ones. Some are outdoor rated, some are indoor. This is an indoor version of that. Basically, you just plug in your switch to the wall. Where's the picture right here? You plug it into the wall, and then this is the Z-Wave controller. It has a manual switch on here. By the way, that's one thing I want to mention. All the stuff that I do has a backup mode. If the system were to go down, I can walk over and I can turn the switches on, those pedal switches. I can reach over and plug or put the switches on the little smart switches. I can push the buttons on these little appliance lamp plugs, and everything will come on manually. Some of them you have to crawl behind certain areas to get to it, but whatever, you can still use things. I have to build the house for acceptance factors so that the system or the lights and everything will still operate even if there's no Z-Wave controller. So it's a very important thing to think about when you're building all these things out. So it shows a bunch of options for this. I don't know if this one measures voltage. Some of the ones I have actually measure voltage and energy, so that's helpful. This one says it does. Energy use monitoring. So this is one I have that actually monitors the energy usage of whatever I have it plugged into as well. So that is the device that I use for that. A lot of this stuff is on my blog post under my smart home gear. You can find all of these links and figure out whether you want to get those for your own smart home. What am I looking for here? Back to the dashboard. Got to go fast. This is an Atom, M5 Atom. It's basically a switch that is running on, or it's a smart switch. And anytime a car enters the driveway in a certain zone, based on my Frigate cameras, it'll turn on this, and it turns on an ultrasonic sensor. Made a whole video on that. You can look that up in my channel. Basically allows us to park the cars without hitting the wall. You pull up to a certain spot on the wall or from the sensor, and it turns the little box green, tells you you're where you need to be. Outside temperature and humidity, all of this is done via a weather station. And I get my humidity, my feels like temperature, and all of that. It transmits to an EcoWit sensor, and there's an EcoWit integration in Home Assistant allows me to pull this information in, including the rain, the wind, and the rain rate. All of this stuff, weather-related, comes from that. Lightning sensors are from an integration for lightning. And same thing with, or weather alerts are from the National Weather Service. So all of this stuff right here is weather related. Let me see, I'll show you that weather station, similar to what I have. The one I have is very close to this one. I think it may even be the same one. I've had it for a lot of years. I think since 2019, when we had a hailstorm and I had to replace it because it got beat all to pieces. I got a new one. But it's been transmitting outside in the cold, the heat, everything for years. Even when we had snowpocalypse here in Texas, this thing still worked after freezing cold for a week, even though we didn't have electricity. It's solar powered for the most part. It has some backup batteries. It runs off solar during the day and kind of runs at night on batteries. So very nice weather station, and I get my weather data directly here into my Home Assistant instance where I can graph it. All of these temperatures, are coming from sensors throughout the house. I'm not sure. What is this? And now that I'm looking at this, I'm wondering what I'm looking at here. It looks like I have a duplicate. Well, that's interesting. I had no idea I had a duplicate here all this time. Well, these are those Aquera temperature sensors, most of them. And you can see that here under their sensors, smart home sensors. I use, not that, I use the temperature and humidity sensor. These run forever on a small battery. Learn more. And they're really, really tiny. You can just put them anywhere you want to. I stick them up with sticky tape. They're about that. They're about the size of a $50 in the U.S. Not sure what else to compare it to. There's the battery in it. You can see the battery. That's like a 2023 or something. Little coin cell battery. That's how big it is. It's a little bit bigger than a coin cell battery. Really nice device. I really have been pleased with how they've operated. So I use those. And that measures temperature everywhere except the attic. So in the attic, I use an AOTech multi-sensor, humidity, motion, temperature, ultraviolet vibration, and light. It's because I had this one left over. I don't necessarily need all of these different things in the attic, but it is plugged into a USB power plug up there. And so I get temperature and whatnot from this device. And for whatever reason, if I want to know how bright it was in the attic, which shouldn't be very bright at all, unless I leave a light on. Humidity is important, temperature is important, because I do have some electronics up in the attic and I want to make sure I keep up with those. Motion I don't care about so much unless there's a varmint up there, I guess, which we usually don't. You can install these things with a recessed deal. I can plug into power, or you can power it from these batteries. It is a really nice sensor. I've used it for a while. It is a Z-Wave sensor. So this one runs on Z-Wave. And the other ones I have run on Zigbee. So I'm running both Z-Wave and Zigbee in my network. So that gives some of this. All of these are automations that I've set up in Home Assistant. If you want any information specifically about any of these things I'm talking about, just let me know in the comments and I will do what I can to help you with that. This is a light that it runs on a smart switch, essentially turns on a little night light. And this little smart switch will let people know I'm in a meeting or doing recordings or something like that. I talk about these smart switches for some of these things, and I showed you one type of smart switch, but this is the other one that I use. The little nightlight plugs into something like this. This also controls a couple of the lamps. So I have multiple types of switches. I have Wi-Fi switches. I have Z-Wave switches. I don't have any Zigbee switches. I do have one Zigbee switch. I just don't do anything with it right now. It's used as a kind of a repeater. But this is a power monitoring, it says here, at least it is, a power monitoring switch. And this one here, I've flashed with Tasmota. And so this runs over Wi-Fi, but it uses Tasmota. Got a whole video on doing that. Tasmota allows you to do local control. I don't know if I know there's a Sonoff integration, but I don't know if it's local control or you have to authenticate with the cloud first. You used to have to authenticate first and then you could use it locally. Don't know if that's still the case. I haven't bought one of these in a while. I haven't set it up in a while, but I still use them all the time. And I have extras in a box for whenever I need to do another project. So really good switches. Let me tell you, the stuff that I've purchased for the most part, knock on wood, has just functioned through all these years. I haven't found anything that just quit working. And I'm trying to think. I'm vaguely recalling one or two things, but for the most part, all the switches that I use, the Z-Wave, the Zigbee, the hubs, I'm still on a 500 series hub. Yes, I know that's bad, but that's what I have. It works, and I'm not going to fix it if it's not broken. So all this stuff just keeps playing. I've moved it from one house to another, and we're still playing along with it. All right, continuing on quickly. This guest lamp is just a smart lamp. I bought it as a demonstration. It's just a smart bulb. These are my Elgato lights. You can see that it just got dark in here. I can control the Elgato lights through either my Stream Deck or through Home Assistant's integration with the Stream Deck. These here I use are my Emporia sensors for my sub panel and one particular device I was watching, the attic power usage, to see when the attic fan turns on for the HVAC system. I wanted to know that. So that's what that is. Emporia is what I use for that. Emporia Energy is their, yeah, whatever. this thing right here, energy monitors. I have this connected to my panel. It looks something like that, a spaghetti, what is it? Whatever this is, bird's nest. It's a mess, but it works, and I have all these things hooked up to my panel. So I get the sub panel stuff here, and I get the actual individual circuits measured here, and that's how I get the one circuit that I do right here for the attic. I got a bunch more circuits that I monitor, but I just displayed on my dashboard for the very reason when I want to know the attic is on, or the attic fan is on. All right, so we have motion sensors. These are all done via my Frigate in VR, with the exception of the Ecobee thermostat. This one is a motion sensor built into the Ecobee. So if any time there's an object detected or a person detected on any of my cameras, I get an alert up here. This study one is the little Aquara sensor that I mentioned a moment ago. It is where is it at? The Aquara, where's my products here? Smart home sensors. That is this little P1 sensor. So I use that to monitor, and it turns on a light in the study through one of those smart switches whenever somebody goes in there. So I use that for that purpose. That's that motion sensor for the study. And then this is a Frigate card. This Frigate card will display the bird's eye stream. It's called bird's eye. It displays any camera that has an object detected on the camera, so I get a quick glance at what's going on around the house. I've got a few cameras strategically located to allow me to see what's happening. Samba backup, obviously this is wildly incorrect. It's now close to mid-December or so, and this should have been backed up. I'm getting backups, it's just not registering on this sensor anymore for some reason. This is another conditional card that I use. It tells me when something is down based on Uptime Kuma. I run Uptime Kuma locally, and it monitors a lot of stuff within my infrastructure in the house, home lab stuff, things like that. I unplugged the network cable from this today or yesterday or whenever, and it's down. This is my alarm system. I use Alarmo. Alarmo is a alarm system integration you can use with Home Assistant, and it ties into all these motion sensors and a whole bunch of other things. I have a lot of automations dealing with the alarm system. This just allows me to control it by doing this button right here. There is I think there's a new card out for this too. Maybe not. Then you've got another switch with that energy monitoring that I showed you earlier. That long appliance switch measures the washing machine. This is a little thing I built out to tell me when the power goes out in the garage. It will trip a door sensor that's plugged into a relay on the wall. And whenever the power goes out, that relay will trip with enough time to register before the power goes out on my backed up UPS and Home Assistant and let me know about it. A switch that I set for setting everything to work mode when I'm working. No idea what that is, actually. I'm completely clueless on what that is. I don't think I've even... What the... We'll discover that one later. I don't know what that is. That's new. This is an integration that measures air quality in my area, which is good right now. This is a quick button that opens up the cameras page on my screen. Now, these are all fan controllers. One of the things I wanted to do when I moved into this house was have a fan controller. And for the fan control, I use some switches by March and Jerry. This is one of the most economical ones I could find that did exactly what I wanted to. They're Tasmota-based smart ceiling fan controls, and they have a 4-level speed light switch, or speed switch, as well as an on-off switch down here. And I did a little video on this as well to show you how to set this up. There's a little bit of work to do in the control or the code to make it do what you want it to do in terms of things like storing the level it's at and being able to control these different levels from the switch. So if you look at the dashboard, I do have level controls set. So I can click this and I can set different levels this way, or I can just go to the preset mode and set it this way, and it'll turn it on and off. So that's how I control the fans in these different rooms. And it's game changer. If I set the alarm, the fans to away mode, all the fans get turned off. I don't leave fans running when I'm not home. It's a waste of electricity. I also don't run them when I'm by myself at the house because I don't need blow air around in rooms I'm not in. So it's nice to be able to do that. Moving on quickly, because this again is going to be a long video, because that's what I do. This is all those Aquarius sensors, with the exception of the Ecobee and which one else? This one here is the EcoWit, has a built-in sensor for humidity and temperature, but all the rest of these are the Aquarius sensors. Those little pucks that I just sit around the house, and I can see what's going on with the temperatures. It's very important. When I first moved into this house, the reason I set all these up in all the rooms is because I want to see how well the house is balanced. And over time, you may get a leak in a window or something, especially in new houses like the one I'm in now. I want to make sure that the seals are good and we don't have a sudden change in a temperature in a room, and make sure it's balanced. We also get a rebalancing for the HVAC system. So I want to be able to have trending, because all this data is stored in my Home Assistant instance, and say, look, this room is consistently hot or cold. You need to balance it so that the air goes where it's supposed to. So it helps me prove a case to the HVAC company if I need to do that. Plus, it's nice to see what the temperatures are in various rooms. So that's what these all do. It gives me a history and a quick glance at what the humidity and temperature. The other thing too is when we first moved in, the humidity was in the 70%, 24 hours a day. And I figured out why. The fresh air system had been put into override, and it just kept running and blowing in humid air all day long. So we were able to fix that and see that it was doing that based on the data we were getting from Home Assistant. So there's your actionable data that you get from some of this stuff. And then this is a thermostat. This is a nice thermostat card. And in version 2012.12, which is the latest version, 2023.12 of Home Assistant, there's been some updates to this card to make it even better. But right now, this is the card, and it controls my Ecobee via HomeKit. Now, you can connect to Ecobee either via HomeKit directly with some functionality, and you can also connect to it through their integration to Ecobee directly. And you get varying levels of control and data returns from both of those. So that's the dashboard that I use on a daily basis, and the products that I use to run my smart home. I'm trying to think of things that I haven't covered in my smart home, one of which is behind me on the desk. You can't see it because there's a big green screen in the way anyway, is my, what is it, Lintech? It's a radar-based motion sensor, presence sensor, thank you. It's a presence sensor that controls, it actually turns this light on whenever I'm in here. If the lux level, if my overhead lights that are currently on are turned off and I walk into this room, it'll turn that guest lamp on, the lamp on. It's called guest lamp. Anyway, it'll turn the lamp on if the light level is low enough, and if there's somebody in the room, and it'll keep it on. It'll turn it off after 10 seconds if somebody leaves the room. So the presence sensor that I use, made a video on that as well, so check that out. If you have any questions about any of this stuff that I've showed you on the dashboard, let me know. It didn't happen overnight. It took me a while to build out my Home Assistant setup. And at some point, I'm going to have a refresh of this and recreate the dashboard based on some new tile cards and some new updates to Home Assistant. So stay tuned for that. If you want to see me build a dashboard, I will do that and make a video of it and show you how this stuff comes together. And with that, I think I've talked enough about this. Hope it was interesting. I hope it inspires you to start the new year building out your own dashboard and making something fun with Home Assistant and useful. So with that, we'll see you on the next video. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. And if you're not a subscriber, you know what to do.